Hi, Sankirtna. Hi. Yeah. Okay. So, hi guys. Very good evening. Hope your Thursday is going very well, very peaceful. And I'm very excited about this webinar because this is the first webinar of Cashflow, and very thankful to Akash, the
Mm,
digital marketer and content strategist who's
thank
working at
you.
Bisango. And yeah, I would say that. This webinar would be really power packed with very real life experiences, strategies, what Akash is going to share with us. We are all going to learn something or the other from this webinar, very sure. Right. So let's just get into that. Akash, over to you.
Perfect. I think thank you so much. Firstly, I think to all of you at Cashflow for giving me this time. And I think everyone who's joined in, I think I really appreciate all of you taking out the time, wanting to listen to me speak. And also, I think, as you said, I'm also here to learn. So, of course, I think we can just start with the presentation. And I
Yes.
think the first slide is something that people would not expect. But I think let's just dive right into it. Yeah, let's go.
Give me a second. I hope the screen
For
is
sure.
visible.
Yep, I can see it. I hope everyone can too. So yeah, I think something. Yeah, are we good to begin?
Yes, we can begin.
Perfect. I think, of course, not something that you guys would be expecting upfront, but we are here to learn. But let's talk about parties first, right? So, what I want all of you to do for this moment is think about a time where you were at a party, at any social gathering, right? And there came a moment where you wanted to talk to someone. Okay, so just close your eyes, imagine this moment, and I think we can just go forward. So imagine this time. Now, in that moment, when you see someone and you want to talk to them, subconsciously, we answer a lot of questions within our mind in that very moment, and that happens within seconds. And then we go ahead and have a conversation with them, right? So if we move ahead, Bhumika, I think we'll get them through the entire thought process, right? So I think you've thought of that. Now, what I want you to do is at that moment, just imagine a couple of reasons, and we'll throw a poll at you as well about why you want to talk to someone when you see them at any social gathering or a party, right? So there would be a poll. Just go right in, fill in your options, and we'll take it from there.
1 second.
Sure. What are people filling in?
Let me just trigger the thing. I think, yeah, the first poll is launched. So, guys, you can just start.
Yeah, I'd love to see what people choose. So just imagine a time where you saw this X person at a party and you felt like talking to them. Okay, so 50% right now is on because they thought their energy vibed. They were wearing, okay, they were talking about something interesting. Okay, they're fluctuating. Okay. I think all kinds of reasons are there. And if there are additional reasons, feel free to use the chat
Yeah,
box
please.
to just share your answers. Perfect. Okay, so I
Something
think
about
50%, yeah, people are saying that they felt that that X person was talking about something really interesting, right? So, so if you can just go back to the screen sharing, Bhumika, I think we can continue with the presentation. So, you understand, right? Like whenever you want to talk to someone in any scenario in your life, you always have this one question which you answer upfront, which is the why, why, where you know the reason why you're approaching or wanting to talk to this person. And that analogy is actually true for any brand, any company out there when it comes out and it wants to talk to you. So what companies essentially do in that moment is any campaign, any strategy they are like bringing out there, they want to answer the why first, that why we're talking to the user, right? Now, when we know the why, the second thing, of course, in that thought process for you all also to figure out is that who are you talking to, right? Let's say it's someone senior from your company at a professional event, right? You would probably want to tailor the conversation based on who they are, right? And that is very important. You can't just go up to them and probably be like, hey, what's up? You'd probably have a more formal, semi professional tone and choice of words as well. And that is exactly again what brands do, where it is very important to understand who your target audience is And then we all come up to this one pager that you would have seen and you would have known, which is called the ICP, which is the ideal customer profile, where all of us want to, put down the major points on a piece of paper to understand what majorly our audience looks like. And then you figure out the why, who you're talking to. Now you also want to present certain points from your life, from your work life, from your experiences, which you think can anchor the conversation in the right direction, right? And what we call that in the marketing or the branding world is messaging. So it is very important to know what I will communicate about myself in the scenario of you being at a party. And for brands, it's about what do I say about, let's say, the X service that I'm offering or the X product that I have in the suite of products that I have. So messaging is the core when you know why you're talking to them and who you're talking to, right? And if we can just move forward, there are two more aspects where a lot of times we do not give them as much importance, but they are really important. And those are the when and the where, right? So when, of course, is based more on the timing, the time of the day or the year, and where is which medium or which channel are you approaching them via, right? Let's say it's a billboard on the streets. I can't put 100 words on that. I need to keep it crisp. I need to have a visual that appeals to your attention. If let's say it's social media, I can probably go 8 to 10 words, right? So based on the medium, the channel that I am adopting, I really need to tailor my messaging, my content, and also the overall strategy that goes into it. So if you see on the screen right now, what we have interestingly are these 5 W's highlighted, right? The why, who, what, when, and where. And these 5 W's are crucial to found the foundation of any content strategy that any of you think could be multi-channel or single channel. And that, if you can move forward, Bhumika, these 5 W's actually translate into this one H, which is the how. And the how is actually the moment in the scenario where you go out there and you talk to this person for the first time, right? You've answered these questions for yourself, and now you go out there and say, hey, I'm Akash, and this is what I do. Let's say if it's a professional conversation, or maybe, hey, I'm Akash, and I love reading books. If let's say it's a friendly or a more casual conversation, right? And that is exactly what brands or any content strategy wants to do. Figure out the 5 W's and then plan their execution so that they are hitting the bullet with every single shot they are taking, right? Hitting the target, right? So the 5 W's and one H, which is the how, is really important for all of us to know. And post this, what we've actually done is a very interesting activity where now you've understood this, right? Now we don't want this to just be a session where I'm speaking non-stop and you guys are consuming it. Let's make it really interactive. So there is this situation right now in front of you, and I read it out for all of you as well. So imagine there's this new fintech app out there, right, which is launching a product for specific people in the 22 to 30 age group, right? And what they're wanting to do is help you invest your money really wisely, but with AI recommendations because we are in the world of AI, right? So this is the scenario. We'll fill these out ourselves right now and figure out what the how looks like for any company that's doing it, right? So I'd love all of you to now sort of engage in the chat as well. I'd love to get some inputs from you. So, given the scenario, just give me some reasons as to why this company wants to go out there and talk to you, right? They are starting out, they are in their early nascent stage. Now, what could be the why for them, the purpose that they want to communicate, right? So, if I can have just some inputs from some of you, I think that would be really interesting. I have a few in mind. Of course, I've prepared this, so I know. But yeah, please go on. And Bhumika, if there are some responses, let me know. I don't know if I can see in the chat right now.
Come back to screen if I can see.
Yeah. And of course, like if there are no responses, we can of course continue with certain direction that we already know that a brand at this stage would take. So if you can just go back to the sheet, right? So the reason for this brand right now could be that they want to come into the market and they want to increase the brand awareness or the product awareness, right? And any brand that's starting out, especially in the entire arena of finance, they would like to also add a touch of trust and credibility, right? Because when it comes to your money or sharing your details, it's a matter of trust, right? So if we can just go back to sharing the slides, I think we'll just fill out this first thing and we can
Yes.
begin from there. Yeah.
Yes, once. Then, yes.
Perfect. So, like awareness with a touch of, let's say, adding a layer of credibility and trust to it could be the reason for now. Then the second, of course, I think we all know the who in this entire scenario, right? Like we are wanting to speak to young professionals, young people who are probably in the last year of college or let's say, early professionals. So we know that in our problem statement itself. Then
Right.
comes what do we say to them, right? What would be the core messaging? Now, again, I'd love and I'd invite some ideas from all of you as well, but just try to think that what should be the core message for any fintech brand which is coming out there. And Bhumika, if like you have any ideas, feel free to add them or speak them out loud. Yeah.
Uh,
So, like,
okay.
I'll also put in something which I feel is relevant.
Mhm.
So for example, it could be something like this, like it's an all-in-one app with the power of AI in your hand right now. So that could probably be the core messaging that this company is looking for because they want to tell people that anything related to finance can be handled on this one app that you have on your phone, right? Now the when and where they become very important that okay, are we choosing Instagram? Are we choosing Twitter? Are we choosing LinkedIn? Right now, knowing the audience that we are operating with, majority of them would be on a platform like Instagram, right? Like that has the majority number of people when it comes to, let's say, the younger population. So we'd like to focus on that, but of course we need some supporting channels as well, right? So any one of you who can think of a supporting channel apart from Instagram, of course, which is the obvious, I'd love to know that. Bhumika, are we sure that the chat is open to all? If you
What
can
I think
check that.
chat is.
I think, um, I don't know if it's open to all for now. If you can just quickly check.
I think people have to go to the question thread itself for anything.
Ah,
Chat
is
box
it?
is.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yes, it is. And people
Okay,
are.
if any of you, okay. Because I can't see it for now. So if you have any responses, I think I can fill them out.
So WhatsApp, they're saying
Got it.
one of the caller is saying
Okay.
WhatsApp,
Okay. Okay.
and yes, I
Perfect.
think
So I
these are.
think let's just write WhatsApp as the second one. And so now I think, and great to get these responses in, right? So now, let's say now we've added a channel like WhatsApp, right? So now what we need to ensure is that WhatsApp is a personal space, right? People don't want to be bombarded there. So A, frequency is very important when it comes to WhatsApp, and B, the kind of messaging. I don't want to open an app or let's say my WhatsApp, go to a, let's say a chat where it's like 10,000 lines of content, right? I want it crisp, I want it clear, and I want it to tell me why you're reaching me out on WhatsApp. So, with a channel like WhatsApp, the nuances increase. You can't just go all out. You have to personalize it and you have to make sure that the content is crisp for people to consume as well, right? So, glad to know that WhatsApp is something that you're considering. We could also, let's say now, for example, you have a lot of budget, right? Which a lot of these companies in the quick commerce space now have, and you all would have seen these beautiful billboards on the roads. They want to grab your attention. They are putting out content right, left, and center, and that's working for them, right? So probably I know that you all relate to, let's say, some TV shows. You all relate to certain music, right? So I can always get that into my outdoor hoardings like the OOH and get messaging out there related to that. Of course, that's a stage where awareness is being created, but of course, you need a lot of budget for it. But of course, brands can always go for it. So just taking the example of OOH to also touch down on certain points that what are things you can keep in mind while playing with outdoor hoardings, right? And then the last bit is that you also want to know that
Right.
around which time or around which specific area are you talking to them. So nuances of geography really matter. Like, am I talking to someone sitting out in Bangalore, or is it Delhi, or is it maybe northeast, or is it in Gujarat, right? So we also need to know the geography bit of it. So all these nuances actually are really important when we're trying to figure out what we are wanting to say to our audience, right? So that is the entire bit of it. And of course, the when is based on timelines when you want to go for it. For the lack of a better example, like last week, it was Valentine's week, right? So I think all of us would have seen messaging. We would have seen apps taking different, like design languages because they wanted to adapt to the theme. So if you are planning to adopt your strategy or your campaign with respect to certain, let's say, important days coming in the calendar, so just know that it's important to tailor make your content strategy according to that as well. So that's how the 5 W's in this case would work. And now I'd like to take you to the how, where what we'll do is we'll not exactly put in something in the how, but I'd like to take you through the three important aspects. And I think we can move to full screen mode also, Bhumika, for now, where now the how needs to have these three important parts for all of you to know that how will the exact execution of this work, right? So the first part of it, as you can see on the screen, is that you really need to know who you are as an organization or a brand, right? So every brand out there has this one document that all of you know of, which is called the brand identity document, where essentially what's mentioned is that who we are, how do we talk to people, what's the personification of our brand, like are we, let's say, an elderly figure, are we a friend to people, and XYZ, right? It also talks about the font we use, the colors we have, the visual language our brand goes for. So all of that is very important. So knowing ourselves is very important when we are wanting to communicate to our users via any content strategy. The second bit of it is defining the content. Now, why it's important is that you know who you are, you know everything about the user. Now, what will be the content like, right? The first part of it is you need to know the objective of this content. Again, as we mentioned, is it to create trust? Is it to grab eyeballs? Is it to, grab some attention from the audience? So, the objective of any piece should be known by you. And then the three important things, which I think some of you who worked in social media or in brand or marketing, the buckets, you define certain buckets based on the content that you finalize. Then the format of it, like will it be static, will it be text, will it be video first, and then the frequency of it, so that you are reaching the customers also at great, like, an important touch points. So these two aspects now translate to the third and the final one, which is where you need to know what defines success for any content strategy, right? So the success also comes in three parts. We don't want ourselves to, go all the way and figure out nothing. So I've put these 3 pointers in, which are really important. So the number one thing is you need to know that at a campaign level, what are the metrics that define success for you? Then at a channel level, let's say when we're talking about Instagram, probably viewership or engagement would be high. But let's say for WhatsApp, open rate would be something. The red rate would be something. So based on the channel, you need to know what defines the success. And eventually these two also need to culminate with the business success that we're looking forward to, right? So did it drive more downloads for our app? Did it drive more customer retention? Did it lead to us having a better brand awareness in the market? So at a business level, what metrics certain strategies have catered to, that needs to be known by us as well, right? So we've sort of covered with this example the 5 W's, the parts of the how as well. And of course, I think any of you who wants access to all of this can reach out to me over LinkedIn or to Bhumika, Darshan in the team. We'd be happy to help you. From here, I think let's take a break. It's been a lot of talking, but we'll go to the next slide. And in the next slide, what we want to do is actually play one video for you. What I've done here is I have taken three campaigns which all of you might not know of, but these are very interesting ones. Bhumika, if we can just play the second one, I think that would be just more relevant, and the others, I think, feel free to take a screenshot, just note it down as well. Yeah. So the second one, it's a very interesting bit. Talking about the 10-star experience. It's a 2-minute video. Take your time to consume it. And I think you'd learn something really important with this. So I'm going on mute. Let's play it.
Yes. Okay.
Is the audio there? I don't know if I can hear it.
1 second.
Sure.
You can't hear the video?
I could not. I think we can ask the chat as well, like if they can hear the video.
Actually, 1 second. Um, Give me a second. Um, Akash, just let me know if you can hear.
Yeah, I think if you can just play the video once, I'll let you know.
Okay.
It's like some fruit, and they like have a hand.
I
Can you
can,
hear?
I can. I think we can play it. Yeah. If we can just play on
Yeah.
full screen, I think that would be really helpful from the beginning. Thank you.
Okay. I think, yeah.
We created this exercise. We thought, like, you know, when you go on Airbnb, this is also true Uber, like a 5-star mostly means like, and we thought, well, what if there was like a 6-star? What would that be when you check into Airbnb? And the 6-star is you get to your Airbnb and, you know, there's like a bottle of wine waiting on a table and there's like some fruit and they like have a handwritten note to you. And I'm like, okay, that's like really nice. And then I thought, well, what would a 7-star experience be? A 7-star experience is they get a limo, they pick you up at the airport, and there's this like whole curated experience. You get to the house, and they know you like surfing, and there's a surfboard there waiting for you, and all that stuff. So then I thought, what would an 8-star experience be like? An 8-star experience, you get to the airport, there's a giant elephant, and you get on the elephant, and there's a parade in your honor, and you go to your Airbnb. So what would a 9-star experience be? The 9-star experience is the Beatles check-in. You land, and there's 5,000 teenagers cheering your name. And you get to your Airbnb and you have to do a press conference in the front lawn. So what's a 10-star experience? We'll keep going. A 10-star experience, you show up, and Elon Musk says, we're going to space. And you do get back eventually. And the point of this story is that you maybe can't make an 8, 9, or 10-star experience. But most people try to design something that's just good enough. But if you can add that 6 or 7-star, if you can design something really amazing, and you use the part of your brain, the handcrafted part of your brain to create that perfect experience, then you can reverse engineer how to industrialize this millions of times over. And what happens is people love your product, and they tell everyone else about your product. And what ended up happening in our business is Hilton was started in 1919, over 100 years ago, and we were able to have the entire in 10 years. And this is how you do it without, you know, we had some marketing, but not, you know, initially not a lot.
Perfect. Perfect.
That
I
was
think. Yeah. Did you find it insightful as well?
very, very interesting. Let
Perfect.
me
It was
see
also
how.
shared with me by like someone I worked with, someone I know. So like I think these things actually really help us to understand that anything that you're building, right, and when you're writing or creating something which is related to content, the 5-star is great. What you can do with the 6th and the 7th star might create the difference, right? So I think it's always good to sort of challenge yourself, stimulate yourself with more ideas. And I think the key to all of this is observation, right? Just keep observing human behavior, people around you, how people interact, how people react. I think all of that just combines into anything that you are communicating with the user at the end of the day. So all of that is important, and I think it's been a good breaker. And now we can actually move to sort of the fun part of this entire presentation, where we'll actually understand now that you know how a content strategy is created. Now, how will you create the content? Right, you need to execute. So these are some formulas. I think most of you, or probably all of you, would know this. These are the basic ones that everyone talks about in copywriting, in brand, the PAS, which is problem, agitation, and solution. Of course, if you haven't heard about these, you can take a screenshot, you can read on the internet. I can just like quickly go over these, and then we'll move to certain content formulas that I've over the years developed for myself, where I sit down with some of these formulas and create content of my own as well. So we've covered PAS. ADA, of course, very self-explanatory, works in blog writing, works in social media, everywhere. Before after bridge is very simple. The before and after of any product, and the product is or the service is actually the bridge. So for example, I'll take my example for now. I was at a certain point over 100 kgs. Now I'm below 100 kgs, and what helped me was following this certain creator on YouTube. So she, was the person who helped me bridge the before and the after. Right, so that's how the before after bridge works. Could fit in your product and service in it. And FAB is you highlight a certain feature about your product or service, then you tell the advantages of that, and then how it can actually benefit your daily life or whatever you're doing, right? So these are some basic ones. Of course, there are plenty of these on the internet, but I think let's move to the part where there are strategies and formulas which I have developed and I've learned over the years. So number one is the CCR model, and I think feel free to write in the chat if you guys have ever heard about this. So there's a book called Inside Apple. If you can buy it, if you can rent it or read it, please feel free to do it. I think it's really insightful. It goes into how Apple created things and the inside working of the company. And it talks about this one thing which is called CCR model of talking to users and potential customers, which is when you're creating content or when you're putting out content associated with any campaign, the first thing is you have to keep it very clear. I can't use terminology or I can't make it too verbose for people to not understand it. So it needs to be really clear as to what I'm saying. Concise is the second part, where I don't necessarily want to burden you with content, right? You're not here to just read content for 5 minutes. You're here to understand certain important bits. So you need to keep it concise, talk or speak or write as much as it's important. And the third part is, which is the interesting bit, which is repeated, right? Whatever you're saying, the proposition that you're wanting to put out, it needs to be repeated over time so that it starts instilling in people's minds as well. So I think I've spoken so much about a content strategy that right now you know, okay, Akash is equal to content strategy. So that's what I've sort of done in this entire, I think, 30-40 minutes, right? So the CCR model is really impactful, and the example of it right now, right? So when Apple said that there are 1,000 songs in your pocket, it was a classic ad that I think all of us still study in B schools, in advertising, in media schools, and it's a classic example of how the CCR model can be used. Right, so would love for all of you to use it in your daily lives as well. Of course, work-wise. The second, which I'd like to take you through is so this is something that I created. So I create content on my LinkedIn as well. Feel free to have a look. Would love to know how you all feel about it. So I have named this the blank canvas. This is actually inspired by this book called The Art of Minimalism. So this book actually takes you through a process of how the most minimal aspects of design or content can actually create the most beautiful of ideas, right? So this activity works this way. Take a blank canvas, could be a page, like a piece of paper in physical world, or could be a canvas slide. put the main subject at the center. So for me, I wanted to create something for KitKat. So I put KitKat at the center, and then what I did, I put visuals and I put words related to KitKat, anything that I could think of. So the red color, KitKat is equal to break. I could also play along with the word breaks with AKES. Break dance is one. A chai break in India is something that all of us know of, and I put some visuals in, and that actually made me design this creative, which I was really happy was appreciated by a lot of people. So I took Breaking Bad and I put this visual of a Kit Kat being broken into half, and that's how this creative was born, right? So start with a blank canvas, give it a tangible form, don't let it just be in your mind, and I think content or design would come out of it. What I've also done is planned a small activity which is in the next slide. I'd love for Bhumika to, yeah. So Coca-Cola, if you guys can please use the chat to write words, probably talk about visuals that you resonate or that come to your mind when I say the brand Coca-Cola. I can probably give like a direction. We always know that Coca-Cola stands for open happiness. That's their tagline. So that could be one thing, right? If there are any other things, if you guys can put in the chat, I think it would be really, really helpful. Again, Bhumika, if you can see the chat, please let me know.
I'm checking. Nothing as of
Sure,
now,
sure.
but
Got
there's
it. So,
one Coca-Cola dance. That's Shikhar.
got it.
Sangeetna is the color black, okay, and the
Perfect.
smile.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
That
Perfect. So I
is
think we can just, yeah. We can probably just take these elements, right? So open
yes,
happiness, smile, the brand colors, the red and black, and then of course I think the dance that Shikhar also mentioned. So what we'll take you through next is something that I prepared, which were from certain keywords and designs around this brand. And I think culminates a lot of things that we also shared right now. If we can just move forward, Bhumika.
yes.
Yep. Perfect. So I think someone said smile, right? Thank you. Brownie points to you. So the smile is synonymous with Coca-Cola, right? So I took that bit and I wanted to integrate it with something around the brand which is very, very minimal, but it puts the message across as well, right? So I took this cap and I just highlighted this one curve in white and I wrote a line that of course you can see a smile because it's Coca-Cola, right? So this is again something that also, people appreciated this a lot. I got a lot of comments over my LinkedIn as well. But what I'm trying to communicate is that the most minimal things in and around a brand or a content strategy can actually create something which is memorable for people as well, right? So these two elements created this, and from here, I think I'd like to move to the last bit, the last content formula that I've sort of developed. Um, Again, this term doesn't exist over the internet for this strategy. This is my own terminology. I call it the contrary worlds. So by this, what I mean is that you take X thing, X object, X person, and put it into a starkly opposite environment, and something beautiful will come out of it. You can try like in real world with your own like professional lives as well, like whenever you're creating content. And the example I've taken is of Suits because I think very relatable. A lot of us would have seen this show, where what they did was they took a college dropout, Mike Ross. They put him in the top firm, like in New York City, and the entire, I think, 5 or 7 seasons were around this now. So now you've taken the character, put it into a world which probably he never could make it to, and a series which is legendary was born out, right? So try it with your content as well. Let's say your product is all about, um, for example, let's take the quick commerce industry, right? It's all about speed. Take it to the ultra slow, the slowest world out there, and try to create something. I assure you, like something good would come out of it. So the contrary worlds is actually something that has helped me create a lot of content. Of course, one more example is Breaking Bad. I didn't include it there because then I thought you all would think I'm obsessed with the show, which I am, but I think it's the highest rated show on IMDb as well. And there's a reason for that, right? A chemistry teacher in the world of drugs and meth, right? So something no one could imagine, but it happened, right? So these are three formulas that I use, and I don't want all of you to just go from here thinking, okay, we just heard Akash speak a lot. There are five key takeaways which I've put in a slide. Feel free to take a screenshot or just note them down. The first is just remember the five W's, which will form the foundation of any content strategy that you are developing, which will lead you eventually to the how, the execution of it. The second is whenever you are talking about great content, it's not just creative. It needs to be strategic and structured, where you need to know the metrics it's trying to fulfill, the business impact it's trying to have, and that will actually make it holistic. The third is always measure the right metrics, and I've again put them down: campaign, channel, business. So CCB, remember this as a formula if you can't, right? The fourth is remember the CCR model, because more often than not, we need it when we are communicating, even in the real world, and also when it comes to us writing content. And the last bit of it is the paths that I shared, which were my own content formulas. If any of those were helpful for you, please try to implement these in your daily life as well. And that's all for now. I think the last 15 minutes we had planned for it to be a Q&A. If this was helpful, I think you can leave some comments in the chat, here to talk for the rest of the 15 minutes as well. And here for feedback, anything that you guys want to share with me, how this session was, happy to do that.
Before others start giving you appreciation and everything, I'll appreciate very well. And the pointers were very, very, very apt actually. We can relate very easily. That's one thing. That was easy to understand, right? Even marketers, or maybe we have mixed people at the
Yeah,
moment joining us, right? So I think everyone will be easily to relate with the strategies, or maybe what pointers, right? Uh,
got it. Thank you so much, Bhumika.
Akash is saying that if Naman is saying that if we can show the 5W chart. See, Naman, we'll get the this PPT
Yeah,
after the webinar as well, so I think not to worry on that.
yeah, you will get that. Yeah.
Yes, we have already marked for you guys, so that's not a problem. Anyone else? Okay, so Adler is asking how would you differentiate with communications on different platforms? For example, like WhatsApp, email, Instagram, or versus hoarding.
Got it. So I think as we covered, right, very important to know the channel that you're selecting, because everything would be tailor-made to that, right? So let's take some quick examples. You said WhatsApp and you said outdoor hoardings. So just let's take these two examples. So when it comes to WhatsApp, you already know that you are entering a space where probably a brand should not be there. Let's be honest, right? It's for my personal life and my personal chats or some business chats, right? So when you're entering there, you need to make sure that you're approaching this entire communication with a lot of empathy, A, with the user, and B, trying to understand that when they are wanting to engage with you over this platform, they're looking for the easiest way to understand what you're offering, why you're offering, and the benefit of it, right? So WhatsApp would be that in a nutshell. When it comes to outdoor hoardings, what you need to do is mostly all of us are seeing how outdoor hoardings when we are traveling, right? So either we are in a car, in auto, or sometimes maybe walking by. So essentially, we do not have a lot of time to read or to understand everything. So what you want to do in that moment is make things as concise and as clear, which is part of the CCR model, and also try to add a layer of surprise to it, because anything that, let's say, just merges with the entire background of that hoarding, right, would not want the user to have a look at it. They would want something which is maybe something starkly opposite to it, or something which blends very seamlessly. So either of the ways you can take, and the communication or the content has to be something that they can consume or understand in those milliseconds, literally. So that would be it. So I think if you've seen, one thing I'd like to highlight, when Cred came out with outdoor hoardings, they just said download Cred. There was a logo and there were two words, download Cred, and that is actually what they wanted. They didn't go out there that, oh, we will help you with reminders around your credit card bills, because you won't consume it at an like in outdoor setting, right? So that's an example. And McDonald's also does a lot of such OH. Feel free to look them up. Yeah.
Okay, Adler, I think we were able to answer your question.
Yeah.
Then I think, yeah, Adler is happy with the answer. Then Anisha also, okay, she's asking, do more. Okay, she's just giving the appreciation that, okay, we can do this
Okay.
session. I would like these sessions again. Right, of course, we'll keep this as a note, Anisha.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Anisha.
much. And then Darshan is asking which is more effective, fab or pass, according to you.
Yeah, again, no, so it depends, like really depends, right? Like I think brands adopt this, like the same brand can use it multiple times. I think what always would help for any brand or any company is just A/B test it, right? If you think that your product or service is doing well with pass, great. If it's doing well with fab, then fab, right? Like it only depends on what's working for you. But I think just try to use it more so that you also understand it. See, fab could be very helpful for when I'm just trying to talk about a feature, but pass could be helpful in a scenario where I'm trying to nail down this one problem statement for the user and trying to solve for it. So it's very contextual, and feel free to use both of them. And I love to know the results for you. Yeah.
Yes, you guys can directly reach out to Akash.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that is that's all. Rest is the appreciation. So,
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
uh, Shrika is asking, going off the topic here, which is your favorite season on Breaking Bad?
Oh, I think I saw it a long time ago, but I think the first three seasons were really interesting. I think that's when the base was being set up. Towards the end, I think I was also kind of done with the show because I knew the storyline where it was headed. But I think the first two seasons where they actually set the entire context in, they were really interesting. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Shrika is saying, I agree too. He's agreeing with
Oh,
you. So,
perfect,
yeah,
perfect. Great minds
fine.
think alike.
Okay. Um, Adler is asking, how do you A/B test across segments?
Across segments, right? So again, right, I'll just take a quick example. So first, you need to segment your audience, right? Like let's say for the scenario that we took, we had a 22 to 30 year old age group. So just segment it. Let's say 22 to 25 is one clubbing, and 25 to 30 is another. Now just take one set, which is 22 to 25, and now just A/B test different kind of messaging with them using the formulas or without it, right? So with 22 to 25, what we know is that certain lingo, a certain language would really connect with them. Certain analogies would really work with them because they consume a lot of content over social media. So I am very thankful you asked this question because I have one more thing to share which I could not. There's a model which is called the MMC model, which brands across, like, and I'm talking about the Coca-Colas and Pepsis of the world have adopted, which is movies, music, cricket, and especially in the Indian context, they've implemented it. The MMC model is very helpful when you're wanting to create relatable content. Again, what the layer I've added over the years is I call it the 3MC model, where because memes are such a big part of the universe we exist in, they also need to be included. So the 3MC, memes, music, movies, and cricket in the Indian context works really well. So you can use that probably for the 22 to the 25 age group. And then 25 to 30, you have to start understanding that the human mind sort of evolves, right? So what they're looking for is more credibility, more growth, more money. So you talk about the tangible aspect of that product. Like for example, in our fin product, what we'll talk about is okay, if you put in X amount of money, we can make sure that with our recommendations, you are increasing that sustainably over a certain number of years, right? And just a small plug-in here is if you want to consume content around this, what I did was I read about this one term in marketing called neuromarketing, which actually helps you understand how the human mind works and evolves and how it makes decisions. So the post 25 thought process that I talked about actually comes from there, that how the mind evolves and how you actually now need to tailor your communication based on that. So you can just divide your audience into segments, A/B test certain type of communication, and I think you will find the best way. Yeah. I hope this
Got
answers.
Yes, got it. I think we are pretty much done. Okay, so Adler has one more question.
Sure, sure,
Um,
sure.
Leave it out to you. See here, 2025 folks will invest to buy something with a relatively small ticket size, car, bikes, etc., compared to 26-30 who will move towards a larger ticket size wedding. Could you please share an example on what would you communicate to these two segments?
Can you just put it on the chat if I can just read it? I don't fully understand the question.
The message I put in the chat.
Yeah, yeah. If you can just, I'll just read it through. Okay.
Can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Sure. I think, of course, so as you said, right, we've segmented these audiences. Now, you have to understand that probably at 22 to 25, you are wanting to make purchases. But in the example that we took was that how can you, let's say, maximize your returns with AI recommendation? So in this case, as you said, that probably they're looking to buy a bike or car. We'll make it more tangible in terms of how X amount of money invested in a certain scheme could enable you to do that. And again, as you only mentioned, 26 to 30 would be an age where people are wanting to settle down, right? So propositions around having, let's say, a house or a car become more prevalent. So you can always play with imagery. You can always play with copies like, owning your first car is possible now with XYZ. So that kind of communication could work. And yeah, I think that's all I can add for now. Yeah, and I hope this sort of answers what you were asking.
So I hope that answers the question for Adler. Naman is asking, may I know how to know audience behavior and their mindset?
Yeah, talk to them. That is the only way. So, a quick example I can give is I ventured into the B2B space recently, where I'm working with people who operate in the steel and aluminium sector, right? This audience is not an audience who's on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or anywhere. They are only on WhatsApp and they are available on call. So, I've been here for 6 months. What I did for the first few months, and I still do, is I go on customer calls. I try to even meet them physically. I try to arrange one-on-one calls with them to understand what their day looks like, looks like, what they do, right, what their digital activities are, how do they consume content, what type of content they consume. So there are, of course, there are certain, let's say, forms or questionnaires you can prepare and circulate it. But I think just go on calls, meet them in person and understand them. Like that's the best way you can do it. Like you can't do it just sitting at a desk. That's what I feel. So just go out there and I think just talk to them.
Got it. I hope that answers Naman's question. And now we have Vamshi asking, which is the most out of the box and ad campaign you have seen.
Yeah, many, absolutely, like many. I think you should definitely check out Stairs, which was in this example by Nike. One more thing that Nike did, I think, I just loved how they played around with it. So in the 2012 Olympics, so Adidas won the official sponsorship. So in the contract, it was written that Nike cannot use London, which was in the United Kingdom, to promote their brand, right? That was not allowed. So what Nike actually did was they developed an entire campaign where London from different parts of the world, and there are different cities, places named London around the world, and they picked up stories from there. So they went into Africa, there was a London. They went into Asia, there was a London. So I think that was a very interesting one. So I think would love for you to read about that as well. Apart from that, yeah, I think I can only recall that for now, and that was a good one. And I think Apple, of course, keeps doing extraordinary stuff. I think we like that as well.
Agree. I think we are done with the questions. Again, we have one more. if
Sure.
how to do A/B testing if the main form of communication is via website. I think that'll be the last question because we are running on the time.
Sure.
Yes.
So again, a little technical, but you have the ability to show a certain type of landing page to X audience sitting out of X location or geography, and like a certain version to someone else as well. So that is actually something you can figure out. I think talk to your product and engineering teams. I have done that. So that's possible. Just need to talk to some technical folks. HubSpot also gives you that ability. Yeah.
Yes. Agree. Thank you so much, Akash. It was wonderful. The webinar was wonderful, actually,
I
right?
had a great
Uh,
time. Thank you.
I hope we can have it again, right? The webinar. But lovely speaking with you. Lovely knowing what strategies you have implemented so far in your career. But yeah, thank you so much, Akash.
Thank you. I think thank you so much, and I really appreciate all of you joining in. I think I want to thank all of you as well. And of course, feel free to reach out whenever you want to connect, talk about the entire sphere of brand and marketing. Always happy to have a conversation. And thank you,
Thank
Bhumika, for hosting this. I think it was a wonderful session that you
you.
curated. Really like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
I
you.
think
Have a
we'll
good
end.
evening.
Yes.
Sure.
Good evening,
Bye. Take
everyone.
care.
Bye.
Bye.